Sure. First of all, thank you again for having me on. As a physician taking care of uh, sick and many times dying patients in need of a transplant, it became progressively frustrating to see the inefficiency and waste in a system that just didn't allow many organs that could ultimately have saved a life or at least decreased suffering not being used. So it definitely was the primary driver of finding a way to change that system to one that can get more high quality organs to the people that really needed them and decrease that wait list mortality and just general suffering for those in need. Sure. So ProCure On-Demand is a full spectrum organ recovery logistics and technology company, and it's essentially any need that would arise from the time an organ is initially offered to a transplant center for a specific recipient, all the way through that organ actually arriving at the recipient's OR for implantation into that recipient. And that includes the physical recovery service, so the removal of the organ from the donor. That includes the supplies and equipment necessary for preservation of that organ during its transportation, and the transportation itself of moving that organ from the donor facility to the recipient facility in order to be transplanted. We also offer a wide spectrum of technologies for the optimization and better evaluation of organs, as well as preservation of organs. Specific to kidneys, one of the things that we have really pushed forward and I believe do at an extremely high level is something called NRP, which stands for normothermic regional perfusion. And that is essentially rerouting oxygenated blood to the organs we're trying to preserve and evaluate in a class of donors called DCD donors, which is the largest growing donor group in the United States over the past several years. And that has translated into both, I think, better quality organs from those donors, but also a significantly higher volume of organs that ultimately get transplanted from those donors. So I think it's had a really positive effect, specifically on the kidney transplant population in need. I think one of the things that is really not talked about enough, and it's something that I've become really passionate about, hopefully moving forward, is the concept around professionalizing organ recovery. And historically, organ recovery was a very confrontational event, especially in a DCD OR, because there's several teams, sometimes up to five teams, that come to an operating room that is not in their hospital. They don't know anyone there. The team that is helping them from that local hospital has maybe never even done an organ recovery before. And everyone is trying to do the right thing by their recipient to preserve their organ in the best way they can. But many times that came at odds of every other organ. And obviously, that lack of collaboration and that lack of collegiality did not translate well into better outcomes for organs or more organs available. So, one of the things that we do is we try to elevate the expectation of professional behavior within a donor OR. And I think that actually most benefits the kidneys because, in the order of organs removed, for instance, kidneys tend to be the last organ removed. Usually goes heart, then lungs, then liver, then pancreas, then kidneys, typically at the end. So anything that happens in the operating room that makes things more streamlined, more efficient, more professional, downstream benefits those kidneys that obviously will have the compounded effect of anything happening beforehand. So while not an obvious thing that you need to improve upon, it is actually something I think is really important, specifically for kidneys at the end of the day. Yeah, I think it's by executing on our promises to both transplant centers, organ procurement organizations, as well as ultimately the donor who is giving that final gift as their last wish, as well as the recipient family. And we do that through maintaining exceptional quality in what we do, and what I believe is the highest quality, frankly, in the industry, by creating an efficient system where it is not cost prohibitive, but maybe many times cost neutral or even beneficial to utilize our process and pathway versus the status quo. And then doing that repeatedly and consistently. And I think that has allowed us to continue to grow as an organization and achieve our overarching mission, which we are a public benefit company with a mission statement of increasing the quantity and quality of organs for human transplant. And that's what we've been able to do and what we're very proud that we continue to do. Yeah, great question. I'm actually incredibly excited by it. My co-founder and our chief medical officer at our organization is Bartley Griffith, who's a pioneer in xenotransplant. So I think it is something that will changed the entire field very much for the better. However, I am a realist and I do know that that is not a today's solution. And we tend to focus on the immediate need of those sitting on the wait list today, not able to get an organ and not able to stop their suffering. So while I think it absolutely will be one or both of those be the biggest game changers in transplantation history, I do think there's quite a bit of time till it becomes a practical reality. So a lot of our efforts are still very much focused on the today problem and how to solve it now.